Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being a viewer. Thank you so much for being a subscriber. I really appreciate you. All I ask if you learn something new from this video is gently tap the like button, ignite the like button because our channel is Ignition Time. Also, please consider subscribing if you're not a subscriber yet and please enable notifications so you can get instant updates from our channel going forward. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time and once again, welcome to my channel. House Speaker Pelosi has responded to the $1.8 trillion counteroffer from the administration, specifically from U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. I will read out the letter that House Speaker Pelosi wrote to her Democratic colleagues about her response to this. I'll read out the letter start to finish, and then I'll give you my analysis at the end of it as to where things stand right now and where things are likely to go, because there's a lot of drama going on in Washington. Here is the letter from House Speaker Pelosi, and I'm going to go through it quickly, and I'm going to try and give you essentially the core points of the letter as best as I can, okay? Dear Democratic colleague, on Friday, the Trump administration returned to the table with a proposal that attempted to address some of the concerns Democrats have in the stimulus negotiations. By the way, I'll provide you with a link to this letter in the description section below so you can check it out for yourself. This proposal amounted to one step forward, two steps back, and I think that that's a very significant statement from Speaker Pelosi. To be completely honest, I think that this was a good proposal from the administration. It came really close to what the Democrats wanted, but let's continue to read Speaker Pelosi's letter. This proposal amounted to one step forward, two steps back. When the president talks about wanting a bigger relief package, his proposal appears to mean that he wants more money at his discretion to grant or withhold rather than agreeing on language prescribing how we honor our workers, crush the virus, and put money in the pockets of workers. So it's very clear that the Democrats wanted specific language, and that language was not there in the $1.8 trillion counteroffer. And I think this is pretty significant what Speaker Pelosi is saying. His proposal appears to mean that he wants more money at his discretion to grant or withhold rather than agreeing on language prescribing how we honor our workers, crush the virus, and put money in the pockets of workers. So right there you can see that there's still a legislative language problem. I'm pretty sure there's a political aspect to all this as well, but I'll continue reading the letter. At this point, we still have disagreement on many priorities, and Democrats are awaiting language from the administration on several provisions as the negotiations on the overall funding amount continue. This means that the Democrats are probably pushing for higher than $1.8 trillion, and I've covered this on my channel. The closer it gets to $2 trillion, the more unlikely it is that Senate Republicans will support this bill. So Speaker Pelosi continues. A key concern is the absence of any response on a strategic plan to crush the virus. We cannot safely reopen schools, the economy, and our communities until we crush the virus with the science-based national plan for testing, tracing, treatment, and isolation, and for the equitable and ethical distribution of a safe and effective vaccine once developed. The strategic plan is contained in the HEROES Act. Please see the Energy and Commerce memo which is attached. So the Speaker was referring to the HEROES Act. The Speaker continues, from start to finish, the Trump administration refuses to honor our heroes and respect the safety of our workforce. The funding for state and local remains sadly inadequate. Now keep in mind that the Democrats wanted $436 billion in the updated version of the HEROES Act. The administration came up to $250 billion a couple of weeks ago with their $1.62 trillion counter offer, which I did cover on my channel. And with the $1.8 trillion bill, they did come up all the way to $300 billion. And they had also included $400 a week for unemployment benefits. So that was coming pretty close to what the Democrats wanted. But clearly, Speaker Pelosi feels that that's not adequate. Her words, the funding for state and local remains sadly inadequate. These are the words of House Speaker Pelosi. At the same time, the Speaker writes, the Trump proposal recklessly leaves behind workers by ignoring the need for strong OSHA protections to keep our workers safe as they risk their lives and jobs to keep us safe and keep the economy running. We are urging the administration to support our strong OSHA language, which requires OSHA to issue an enforceable emergency temporary standard within 7 days that covers all workers from the illness. Unfortunately, they have a liability provision that is reckless in how it ignores safety in the workplace. This is coming from House Speaker Pelosi. And she continues, at this point, the Trump proposal is insufficient in meeting families' needs, in stark contrast to the HEROES Act, which secures tens of billions for direct relief and refundable credits. At the end of September, in preparation for the restarting of our negotiations, I had previously written to you about what the HEROES Act means for our families at their kitchen tables. For a family of four earning $24,000, direct relief in the HEROES Act, a total $9,890 when including the earned income tax credit and child tax credit. So this is what Speaker Pelosi is pushing for, and she says it's not included in the president's counteroffer through U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. And she says the Trump proposal eliminate earned income tax credit, child tax credit, and child dependent care tax credit. And there's some more information about the earned income tax credit, the child tax credit, and child dependent care tax credit in the letter if you want to read it. And also for child care, the HEROES Act included $57 billion to enable parents to work while their children are in uncertain circumstances of in-person, virtual, or hybrid learning. The Trump proposal, no movement from the $25 billion figure, which is totally inadequate. At the same time, Speaker Pelosi writes, Republicans are insisting on a tax credit for the wealthiest people in America, which is retroactive and therefore not pandemic related, at the expense of tax credit for the families of our poorest children who are directly affected by COVID. This is what Speaker Pelosi writes in the letter. At a time when children and families are challenged by uncertainty in whether their schools will be actual, virtual, or hybrid, the Trump administration is underfunding education. And now, as far as unemployment benefits extension is concerned, this is also something that the Speaker referred to in her letter. The Speaker wrote, HEROES Act contains strong funding to protect the 5 million workers at risk of exhausting their regular unemployment insurance or pandemic unemployment assistance benefits before January 31st. Trump proposal $200 billion less than what Democrats propose, which experts tell us is what is needed. The Speaker continues to talk about the HEROES Act and also says the Trump proposal slashes billions of dollars from appropriations. And the Speaker ends by saying, despite these unaddressed concerns, I remain hopeful that yesterday's development will move us closer to an agreement on a relief package that addresses the health and economic crisis facing America's families. As I have said before, and this is a quote from the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, the devil and angels are in the details. The devil and angels are in the details. With over 213,000 Americans tragically having died, over 7.7 million having been infected, and millions having lost jobs and income security, it is long overdue for Republicans to get serious and work with us to defeat this crisis. I'm reading from the letter, and these and other issues are unresolved. These affect lives, livelihood, and the life of our American democracy. We hope to make progress soon. Updates will continue to be ongoing. This is quite an astonishing reaction. I'm sure that most of our viewers and subscribers were hopeful that Speaker Pelosi will say yes, let's do this, but clearly the Democrats want more. And I've covered this in another video on my channel. The relationship between House Speaker Pelosi and the President is virtually non-existent. And unfortunately, President Trump and House Speaker Pelosi have not spoken in nearly a year. I did cover that in another detailed video on our channel, so you definitely want to check out that video, the relationship between the Speaker and the President. Their last one-on-one conversation was October 16th, 2019. They had a brief interaction at the State of the Union address where the President appeared not to shake Speaker Pelosi's hand, and the Speaker ripped up the President's speech after the President completed his address. And House Speaker Pelosi and President Trump have remained very distant. There's no relationship collateral between them. There's literally nothing for them to build on because there is no relationship. And unfortunately, there's clearly a distaste for one another. And I want to be clear that both sides were appearing to make progress towards a deal, and both sides were essentially, had a common objective, which was to put together a deal. And President Trump also has clearly said that he wanted a deal. So the president was very, very eager to do a deal. We are weeks away from an election. House Speaker Pelosi has wanted a deal. Stephen Mnuchin has also wanted a deal. And House Speaker Pelosi specifically said she wanted to deal with U.S. Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin, and she did not want to deal with White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. They were talking. A lot of talks were indeed ongoing. And House Speaker Pelosi basically said that this was one step forward, two steps back. She said this was one step forward, two steps back. State and local funding is sadly inadequate, and they are still about $200 billion off in unemployment insurance. I'm not sure if this is a negotiating tactic, but I can tell you for sure that there are real issues that need to be solved, and I think that we don't need to wait anymore. I know my viewers and subscribers need cash now. We have to pay rent, we have bills to pay, we have to keep the lights on, we have to put food on the table. But this is where things stand, everybody. One step forward, two steps back, in the words of the House Speaker, as far as the president's proposal is concerned. And it seems like the Democrats are pushing, continue to push the administration to get closer to them. This seemed like a reasonable counteroffer. This had almost everything that the Democrats wanted, and this could have eased the pain and the burden of millions of individuals. But the negotiations continue. I want to be clear: the negotiations are not over. They are not over, but they will continue because clearly the House Speaker is pushing for more unemployment insurance, is pushing for more credits specifically pertaining to children. The House Speaker is pushing for more actions specifically when it comes to combating the pandemic, and also the Speaker is pushing for more language that allows a specific allocation of funds, as opposed to, in the Speaker's words, and I thought this was significant, his proposal, referring to the President of the United States, appears to mean that he wants more money at his discretion to grant or withhold, rather than agreeing on language prescribing how we honor our workers, crush the virus, and put money in the pockets of workers. So the legislative language is what is being argued here, and this is legislative politics that is in play during a historic time, a very difficult time for our country. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. I hope you learned something new from this video. As soon as this news came out, I decided to get this over to our community, just film the video in one take for you and gave you my analysis. This really should have been done because individuals are struggling, individuals are waiting, and the economy is starting to falter. This is where things stand right now, and House Speaker Pelosi has indicated a willingness to get a deal done, but at this point, I believe the offer from the administration was as good as it gets, and I think it's unlikely that the president would respond with a higher counteroffer, because the higher the counteroffer, the more Republican senators we start to alienate. We, meaning the administration, the country, the government. The more Republican senators we get alienated, because Republican senators do not want to do a large bill. I have done another detailed video on the channel talking about Republican senators who oppose further stimulus, and also whether Republican senators can even get behind the president. Could we have a consensus, a deal without a signed law? One thing is for sure, though: every day that goes by, it becomes harder and harder to get a stimulus deal before the election, because these things take time. It's not like they have an agreement today and tomorrow, you get money in your bank account. I have done another video on how long it'll take to actually get stimulus once they come to an agreement. I've also done a video on, could there be a deal but no signed law, because after a deal, a bill needs to be drafted, it needs to pass the House and the Senate, the president needs to be signed it. Could we have a deal but no signed law leading up until the election? Every day that goes by makes it unlikely that the stimulus will happen before the election, and this is where things stand right now, everybody. If you learned something new from this video, please consider clicking subscribe. Please consider clicking the like button. Gently tap the like button. Our channel is Ignition Time. I want you to ignite the like button, even though the news isn't very comforting. I'm trying to present with you the honest news, transparent news, and hopefully this can help you stay appraised of what's going on during these crazy and unusual times. One final time, my name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda. Please check out my video. I have the fortune, the honor, the privilege of living the American dream. Also, please click subscribe. Please enable notifications. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Take care.